Well, hello there. My name is Damon Edwards. I'm part of the Rundeck team, and I'm here to talk to you about shorter incidents and fewer escalations with Runbook Automation, and featuring the awesome integration of Rundeck and PagerDuty. Be sure to stick around afterwards. We'll be having a live Q&A. Okay, so let's start with the story. So this is Alice. Alice is a senior engineer at Acmeco, and while Alice loves her job, Alice has got some frustrations. Number one, because just by the virtue of her knowledge and her experience, it feels like she gets pulled into every incident there is, small or large. And that's very frustrating to Alice because it prevents her from getting the things done that she was actually hired to do and move the company forward. And number two, even though they've done a good job of sorting out their alerting and mobilizing, her and her colleagues with their incident command procedures, from the executive view, it still takes far too long to resolve incidents and far too many people, right? So Alice is feeling that pressure to improve things. So let's take a look at what actually goes on. So as I mentioned, Alice and her colleagues, they're PagerDuty users. So, they've done a good job over the past year of figuring out, how do we, get fewer alerts, make sure we have higher quality alerts, make sure we have our right incident command and escalation procedures in place. And that saved them a lot of time. But once it comes time to actually take action, once they're mobilized and arrive at the point of attack, so to speak, of the incident, what do? Right? Well, they're right back to their old ways. Number one, maybe they're looking into a wiki, right? Trying to read some documentation because, Alice can't know everything, even though she knows a lot of these things. And a lot of other colleagues know a whole lot less, right? So they're kind of diving through wikis or SharePoint or READMEs, or maybe they're trying to talk to their colleagues on Slack to ask questions, unsure of what information is correct or is incorrect or what's outdated. Maybe they have access to some, shared scripts or other kind of shared tooling. But then you have the same sort of issues like, well, is this script up to date? How do I edit it? What options or parameters I need to put into these tools? Is this the right version that I'm using, or is it the wrong version that I'm using? That's kind of fraught with peril as well. So what often ends up happening is option number three, which is escalate, right? So that means the kind of blast radius, so to speak, in the organization of the incident keeps getting bigger and bigger. And all this means that it takes, number one, longer to resolve those incidents. And number two, there's more escalations, there's more disruption being put into the organization. Neither of those is good, and all that compounds to a lot of frustration across the board. Okay, so now let's talk about how Alice solved her problems and the problems of Acmeco. So Alice had discovered Rundeck. Rundeck is Runbook Automation. Runbook Automation is the ability to give anyone in your organization self-service access to the operational capabilities that previously only your subject matter experts could perform. So in Alice's case, she created these standard operating procedures out of her existing tools and scripts, the commands, the API calls, everything Alice would do when she would respond to an incident. She could use Rundeck's workflow capabilities to create these automated procedures. And the point of Rundeck is not to replace those existing tools and scripts and commands and API calls and things that work well. The idea is a higher level than that. The idea is to be able to, how do you capture the knowledge of what it takes to invoke those different tools and scripts and commands and API calls. So rather than having you remember, okay, I run this in this order, or what's the parameters I have to put in here, or is it -I or is it -E, or what is it the DBA team told me, don't ever do this before I do that. I can encapsulate all that as an automated runbook in Rundeck, and then those are available at any time. So now when Alice needs to do something, she can get off her plate a whole lot faster. Alice used Rundeck to collaborate with her colleagues, go around the different teams and say, hey, what's the top 10 ways network team to see if there's a network issue, or hey, app team, what are the 5 or 6 things you should do to check and see if this app is healthy, or how do we restart it, or how do I clear the cache, or how do I solve some known problem that we all know about that normally I'd have to escalate or page out to an expert. Now Alice can just do those all herself. She has them at her fingertips. And even better, Alice was able to use Rundeck's access control features to give her colleagues access, right? So now, in using kind of Rundeck's guardrails features that make it safe and easy to hand things off, she can distribute that ability to other folks in her organization. So now it's no longer Alice who's constantly being called on to do everything. She can push a lot of things to the NOC, a lot of things to the different level 1 teams. She can let developers take care of their own applications in production, kind of in a you build it, you run it environment. And if you notice there's an arrow kind of going from PagerDuty to Rundeck directly. Well, in this case, you can set up PagerDuty's event intelligence to automatically send alerts to Rundeck. Rundeck can process those and fire off different rules. And whether that's you want to run some diagnostic commands that are automatically running and the output's available to your first responders as they log into PagerDuty. Or maybe you just want to go ahead and try some remediation actions before you escalate to those to those folks. All that is capable with the Rundeck and PagerDuty integration. So now all of your first responders, whether they be the level 1 folks who have the least knowledge, the specialists, or your experts that you depend on greatly, they have all of that ability to take action at their fingertips. So when PagerDuty gets you mobilized and lets you know there's something wrong, Rundeck takes you the rest of the way and lets everyone be able to take expert action quickly and reliably. And now getting back to Alice, because she's able to hand things off to her colleagues, life's a lot better for her, right? She's a lot less frustrated. She's getting interrupted, she's not getting interrupted by the same problems over and over again. She's able to distribute, control to other folks, which makes them happy. She's able to distribute the operational load, which makes the organization and Alice very happy. And she's able to focus on the work that she needs to get done to help move the business forward. So it's a big win for everybody. Now, would you like to see a demo? I'm going to show you one. Here we go. Okay, on the left is PagerDuty, the mobile app, and on the right is Rundeck, your Runbook Automation. Okay, so PagerDuty has just given me an alert that there's an error detected in the Zingbats logistics service. If I look over here in Rundeck at the activity history, I'll see that there is a job already running by PagerDuty. And if I click in here into PagerDuty, I'll see what that's all about. Turns out I've set up an event rule to where if there's an error detected in this particular service, PagerDuty will automatically send a webhook to Rundeck to run this performance check job. And if I click in to see what's that's doing, it's running a variety of performance checks to see how things are doing. I'll look at the log output here, and I see some red here. That's actually being colorized by a log filter inside Rundeck to help me draw my eye to a pattern that looks troubling. So now I want to run some deeper level diagnostics. Now, instead of having to maybe ask other colleagues or try to remember various procedures for doing that, I come back over here to PagerDuty, where I've already scoped a couple of custom actions. One of them is run diagnostics. Another one is run restarts. So in Rundeck, I've already defined all these deeper level diagnostics. I've talked to my colleagues. I've talked to other subject matter experts around the organization. We've set up these jobs to say, here's how you run the diagnostics to tell whether or not this application is healthy. And if it's not, what could be the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and run diagnostics. And it's going to ask me to confirm. And I'm going to go ahead and run that. And in my timeline here, it's going to pop up in a second. There it is. It says, okay, it's telling Rundeck to start gathering the diagnostics. And if I click over on that link, it'll take me over to that output in Rundeck. And it shows that they've already actually completed. I can look at this output by node. Will tell me what ran on each node. I can also look at it by a workflow view. In this case, I want to look at it at the log output view. I'm using more log filters here from in Rundeck to look at the output instead of having all the complex output. I just want to see the key output of what is actually going on here. And I see some red. Now I've been told that hey, if any of these things fail, the first thing I want to do is try a restart because this is quite a finicky application. And again, instead of having to, go and find out or remember, what is that exact restart process, I'll go back over here into PagerDuty at my custom actions, and I can run the restart. It's already been set up by by the experts in my organization. It's going to ask me to confirm. And Rundeck will start running the restart and provides me a link there. Again, I can click on that and go over to Rundeck to watch the restart. So again, I can watch the output from different points of view, but here I want to watch the log output again, see if I see anything that's unusual or not supposed to be there. And you'll notice that again, Rundeck, after it runs a restart, runs that same diagnostics, and everything is now looking green. Okay, now let's pretend that this didn't actually fix it, that we had to escalate up to one of our subject matter experts in the organization. How does this help them, right? Well, number one, when they respond, they can look at the timeline of the incident. They can see all the things that were tried. They can click over and see the actual output in Rundeck to see what actually happened. But also, what happens if they're going to go do things outside of these custom actions because they need to do some deeper level work? How does that get reflected back into the timeline? Well, if they're using Rundeck, to run these procedures, perhaps there's something that's like a known problem, right? Maybe there's this database lock issue that just happens. There's a bug in the code, and we haven't had a chance to fix it yet. Well, they can come in here and they could run that job from Rundeck for this known incident, and they can choose, hey, this is part of this incident 159 that we've been working on, and they can say this is part of a known issue 347, trying the lock release, right? And they can go ahead and run that job. And it says here, hey, these steps completed. But most importantly, it's going to say over here in Rundeck that this release, the advisory lock, has been run and associated with this known issue. And this is the message that the person running it had provided. If you'd like to see more of the demo or want to discuss the integration deeper, feel free to come on over to our virtual booth after this session and after the Q&A, and we can get as deep as you want to get. In the meantime, let me explain some of the integration that's going on there. So first thing to know is that all the communication between PagerDuty and Rundeck happens securely over webhooks or direct API calls. And there's a series of plugins that are available for Rundeck Enterprise that help make all of this happen. So the first thing you were seeing there is the ability of PagerDuty to automatically trigger Rundeck jobs at the start of a PagerDuty incident. This could be to auto run diagnostics. So when your first responders log in, they are already seeing a bunch of diagnostic actions that were taken, and they can see the output and understand what's going on. Or we might want to try something like an auto remediation. In that case, PagerDuty is effectively kind of escalating to Rundeck. Rundeck is trying to automatically do something, and then either that fails and escalates to a person on the PagerDuty side, or it times out and escalates. But it can happen either way, either kind of auto diagnostic, auto remediation, or it can be to help the humans. I like to call that the robots versus the Iron Man suit. It's up to you which you want to try and what scenarios. The second thing we saw there is the ability to trigger Rundeck jobs during an incident from within the PagerDuty UI using the PagerDuty custom actions capabilities. This is something that you configure. You can scope it to a particular service, what custom actions are available. Often these are the commands that you want to kind of push to your first responders and give them those kind of expert actions at their fingertips. They don't have to fumble around and understand what they have to do. They know there's some easy actions that they can take right away to try to diagnose or resolve the incident, right? Also, there's the ability to, when you're in Rundeck, say you're kind of one of those level 2 or level 3 folks, and you need to dig deeper. There's a broader set of Rundeck jobs that you want to be able to run and to try by providing that PagerDuty or associated with the PagerDuty incident, all of that information, everything that you do there is automatically associated and shows up in the incident timeline, and all comes part of the record, right? So now if other people are joining into the incident later, they can go back and see what people tried and the output and what they ran. It's also great for kind of management or auditing or any kind of postmortem activity to have all that information there, whether these jobs were run from the custom actions or the auto remediations capabilities. It's going to show up in the incident timeline, or if they're run in Rundeck and they're associated with the incident, that also shows up in the incident timeline. So it's a wealth of information there for, as I said, for management or kind of audit capabilities. And also, there's a feature that's been around even longer, which is in Rundeck. There's various places where you can send notifications. These are plugin points. There's PagerDuty plugins available there. So if a Rundeck job fails, or for any reason you're doing something in Rundeck and you want to be able to trigger a PagerDuty incident, you can. Now, so this might all sound great from a engineer's perspective, but for most folks, Runbook Automation and specifically Rundeck is going to be a new investment. It's going to be a new capability that you're building in an organization. And whenever that happens, someone from the business is inevitably going to show up and say, "What's the ROI here? What are we getting out of this?" Right? And luckily, I think we have some good information on that. Rundeck spends a lot of time talking to our community and seeing what people are doing, and we're hearing some pretty great things. So, we're talking about 60% or 40 to 60% shorter incidents where they're using Rundeck versus where they're not, right? The ability to push that control closer to the edge, get the first responders to be able to take those expert actions, or get those first responders to be able to, take those expert diagnostic actions and then figure out what's going on and do a pinpoint escalation to someone who could help them, rather than the broad general escalation chains that we would see. So you get a lot more expertise earlier in the process, solve things faster, spot known problems faster, and really dramatically shorten those incidents. But probably one of the most surprising and kind of happy surprises, out of this is seeing how it reduces escalations, right? And being able to go to an organization and say, "Hey, we're going to cut our escalations in half." Think about all that disruption that's avoided, all that interruption, all that delay, all that slippage, all that frustration, right? Whether it be the middle of the day or the middle of the night, these escalations are costly. So to be able to cut those escalations in half helps not only operations teams, but the developer and DevOps teams, everybody involved in delivering new things to run the business forward. You want them focused on those things and want to be able to solve the problems as quickly as possible without having to have those disruptive escalations. So, great things there around ROI. And if you want to talk more about that, again, we'll be over in the virtual booth or afterwards. Okay, now to really bring things home, I want to show you the life cycle of an incident. Show you how PagerDuty and Rundeck can work together. Hopefully this broader picture will kind of give you some ideas as to what's possible. So first, you all know PagerDuty, right? It's great at taking these incident signals from our various tools, figures out something's wrong, figures out who to alert, also syncs to whatever data sources of record that need to happen. Pretty well-known pattern. And where Rundeck comes in is, we can use the event intelligence in PagerDuty to send the information about the alerts to Rundeck to figure out, hey, is there an automation available? Something we should do, with this alert. And that could either be a diagnostic action, like maybe we just want to run these deeper level diagnostics, have those ready for when our first responders log in. So we're escalating at the same time that we run those diagnostic actions. Or maybe we want to pause the escalation, right? A new feature there, and be able to run a repair action, right? Try and see, hey, can we fix this? Is this a known problem that we think it is? Can we take some action here, right? So if the service is restored, then PagerDuty will sync that back to our different data sources, our different alert mechanisms, and will close the incident. If that doesn't work, or if it times out, goes back into PagerDuty to do its thing, right? What are we going to do? Well, we're either going to, actually both. We're going to mobilize our response teams. We're also going to notify our business owners, whatever those patterns are that you've defined that's correct for your business. And now when those folks, are mobilize and they're, there and ready to take action, right? Remember, there's the custom actions inside of Rundeck, and they can quickly take action, whether it's for diagnostics or for repair actions. If that fixes things, we can close the incident. If not, we're back to what we used to have always done, which is, we're working now at the manual level to, resolve the incident, and then the monitoring service would confirm the restoration of that service. And if there wasn't automation available at all, right? We didn't have the the automatic diagnostics or auto remediation set up, and we didn't have any automation available for those teams. They would default to that classic way as well, which is the manual effort to resolve the incident. So hopefully this will help you kind of see how all of this can flow together. And the good news is it's available today, right? This is all ready for your use. You can learn some more or contact us, rundeck.com/PagerDuty. You can also talk to your PagerDuty sales rep. They can get you lined up with everything you need. If you want to email us anytime, hello@rundeck.com, or myself, I'm Damon@rundeck.com. And stay where you are. That's the end of my presentation, but we got some Q&A coming up, and that's going to start now.